This is Solodan. He is adventuring throughout the World of Warcraft without trading, grouping, or any other outside help. With World of Warcraft scaling dungeons up to specific levels, Solodan will be locking his level to avoid overleveling until all dungeons and raids, if possible, are cleared. Currently we are locked at level 30, which is the cap for all Classic, Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King content. However, that does not restrict us from venturing to other expansions to help us in our quest for power. In the previous episodes, we have looked at leveling and some gearing, alchemy for powerful consumables in the form of flasks and potions. We then looked into enchanting, which was a hot mess of tooltips. Finally, ending on gathering some key trinkets that will form a good basis for the account going forward. And with all that behind us, it is time to make a dent in the challenge set out for myself at the beginning of this account, clearing all dungeons and raids. Now, I know that there is still more power to get with enchanting and other professions for sure, but for now my mind is set on completing all classic dungeons, and finally having a look at this raiding content, to see whether all the grinding I have done will be in vain, or whether there is a grain of hope that I can solo the raids as well. Bringing up the overview, I have not done many dungeons so far in the first level cap, but today we will make a change in that. Join me as I complete all of the classic dungeons and set foot in my first ever raids on the account. To start off, we head to one of the most classic of classic dungeons, the Deadmines, where the Defies Brotherhood, who were up to no good, started making trouble in the neighborhood. Van Cleef got in one little fight and his sister got scared, so they hired a Murloc to run the operation from there. Gluptok first, and while he punches hard, when he preps his fists with either frost or fire, I get some time to kite away and heal up if needed. And once he reaches 50%, he goes and blows himself up in the middle of the arena, basically doing nothing. And soon, he is a pile of dust. Helix Gearbreaker has a big oaf bodyguard who does the hard work for him, picking me up and charging me into the wall sporadically. But if I keep my HP up at all times, I never die during the charge. And once the oaf falls, I am just left with Helix who just spams bombs all around me. So I keep moving and burn him down. Foe Reaper 5000 locks himself into animations regularly, which are easy to dodge, so I frequently get options to heal and do a lot of free damage to him. Admiral Ripsnarl is a bit trickier, as he gets the stacking attack speed buff every melee attack he does. And aside from that, he regularly runs away. Luckily for me that resets his debuff, but this also starts spawning a bunch of ads, which start to hurt in numbers. But nothing I can't handle. And lastly, we face the fearless leader of the Defies Brotherhood, Cookie, who does absolutely nothing. Eat the good food and you win. There we go, that was quick. First one down, mark it off the board. I surely have a lot left, don't I? Time to pick up the pace, and I'll make sure to talk about the more interesting bosses. We quickly clean house in the Scarlet Monastery before heading over to the first big classic dungeon, Dire Maul. And without knowing at the time, this dungeon will play a key part in the biggest challenges coming in the future. Lathendris and Hydro spawn go down really easily, but then it is time for some of the harder bosses. Zevrim hits really hard, and regularly sacrifices a player, basically stunning the player and draining their life for 6 seconds. Several strats help me out here. The main important one is to kite the boss away from the altar, before he casts Sacrifice. Once he sacrifices me, he will have to run all the way back to the middle, giving me a few seconds of downtime every time I get sacrificed. My Maple, Birch and Jeremy also keep me safe during sacrifice, so I try to save them for these casts as well. Alzin the Wild Shaper is an absolute pain in the neck, especially his wolf form, which hits really hard, draining most of my mana during those phases. All I can hope is that he does not spam wolf form, and save my Treant friends for when he does go into wolf form, to give me the opportunity to run as far away as possible to delay the wolf from hitting me even longer. First swing down, off to the next swing where Tendra's Warpwood is waiting, but before we get to him we need to clear all the trash here, or at least all the trees. Because they will join us in the fight when we pull the boss, if they're not dead. Given the fact that Tendris is a massive treant, he uses his massive log arms to yo-yo my HP more than a Blood Decay in a plus 15 key. Treants, kiting and bear form are the only tools which can ensure my survival, and by the skin of my teeth, we take Tendris down. Magister Calendris doesn't do anything, so let's move on to Ileana Ravenoak and her little pet bear. Let's quickly see how that goes. Ileana and her bear both hit really hard, and on top of that, the bear has a charge into stun ability, stunning me for 2 seconds. And on top of that, she has a massive health pool of 85k HP. My only save and grace here is that her bear, Farah, only has 26k. So if I can nuke it down, we may have an easy line to the finish. I pull the boss and start nuking Farah as hard as I can, keeping them away from me for as long as I can. When they get close, I can only resort to spam healing and hoping I can get a few abilities in. After blowing through half of my mana healing, we get the bear down, leaving us just with Ileana. But even on her own, the damage output is immense, getting us close to 0 mana at points. But eventually she does too fall, putting us past the halfway mark for the entirety of Dire Maul. Imolthar is an angry doggo, which has the mechanic of hitting me really hard. Again, great. On top of that, he spawns small eyes of Imolthar, which enrage the boss when you kill them on top of him. And they also deal some extra damage to me on top of that. He does however have a mechanic that sort of helps me out. Every now and then, Imolthar will teleport me to the middle of the arena. And that is where my strategy gets created. If he teleports me to the middle, I should keep the boss as far away from the middle as possible, to make sure he has to run as far as possible when he teleports me away, giving me some extra time to kite and deal damage. Now, you might think that ignoring the eyes would be a good idea, as they enrage the boss, but the damage they deal is paired with a reduction of my movement speed and casting speed, so when I am kiting I have to take the eyes down, but without them being too close to the boss. When a boss reaches me, I need to either treant, pop a defensive, or spam heal and hope he teleports me away. And after a heartbreaking wipe at 3%, the stars align and we take him down on the very next pull. Prince Tortledrin is slightly annoying with his teleports and knockbacks, but ends up going down in one pull. And with that we're off to the last wing of Dire Maul North. And the bosses have a lot less HP than the previous wings, and hence Moldar falls swiftly before we head over to Krieg the Beer Master. And while Krieg is a pushover, he does make me permanently drunk for some reason. So no, it is not your internet connection nor your bitrate, but a broken boss mechanic that is causing this blur. With the way of the Drunken Fist, we take down Fangus and decide that maybe drinking more will fix my drunken state. So we down some wine and move on to Slipkick, who decides to save me from my drunken curse by killing me. At this point, I've had enough of hard-hitting bosses, and decided to bring out my secret weapon, Guardian Spec. As the Druid's tank spec, this would reduce my damage dealt, but heavily increase my survivability, which definitely comes in handy for bosses like this one. But even in bear form, Slipkick was no walk in the park, as he forced me to go heal outside of bear form just to be able to stay alive. On my way up the stairs, I pick up this Ogre Tannin. This will be handy later. Captain of the Guard Cromgrush hits hard on his own, and to add insult to injury he spawns another 2 ogres at 50% HP, which of course come equipped with Mortal Strike. And Mortal Strike, well, that reduces my healing done by 50%, so we soon after die. On the next attempt though, we try jumping out of bear form to get some extra heals in and manage to take both of the Reavers down. Having expended all my cooldowns, now it is just me and the captain left, and shortly after I am left standing as the victor. One more boss left, the King of Dire Maul, King Gordok, and his trusty advisor Chorosh. As Chorosh has the lowest HP out of the two of them, I take him down first before slowly working my way through King Gordok. As he has a nasty 3-second stun, I try to stay topped at all times, but as it is just him on his own, he falls shortly after. We take our loot and get ready to get out of there. But don't worry, Dire Maul, we will be back soon. From one mega dungeon to another as we head off to Blackrock Depths, the home of Emperor Daigran Torisan, and to the entrance of Molten Core, the first raid we will be taking a look at today. High Interrogator Gurstan has an annoying fear, but does not do much aside from that. Rokor and Houndmaster Grebmar are more of the same and fall shortly after. But then, I get introduced to the power of the most broken spell school in World of Warcraft. Seemingly at least. That spell school is Shadow.
Tactical nuke incoming!
In the Ring of Law, we pull Anupshia as the boss. And just look at what this Shadow Bolt did to my poor Boomkin. Each Shadow Bolt hits me for 90% of my HP, and they're not interruptible. Remember when I said that casters did nothing and that their melee attacks are worse than their spells? Well, not in this case. For this boss, we turned it all upside down, as we want him to melee us. His melee attacks don't do as much damage, so every second he melees us, he is not casting a Shadow Bolt which will one-shot me. And with this new strat and a couple of attempts later, the Ring of Law is conquered. Back to some easy bosses, with Pyromancer Lordgrain, and after underestimating yet another caster, Stilgiz goes down as well. Phineas Darkfire, Lord Incendius, and Baelgar are not casters, so... General Angerforge forces me to kite a little bit near the end and abuse the terrain to regain some mana, but overall, also not a caster, so... Golem Lord Argolmak does cast, but apparently nature damage does not get the same OP treatment as Shadow and Frost, so after taking care of his pet golems, we take care of him as well. Dropping us the Nagel Ring, a ring with no secondary stats, but which can cause attackers to take arcane damage when hitting me. Something we may have some use for in tank spec later. Now, it's time to grab a quick beer in the good old Grim Guzzler. And today they are serving Levelike Lager, a common Trappist, and lastly, the very unique Subscribe PA. And if you can't get enough of these drinks, why not visit the Dan Cave Discord found in the description below. A place where all players new and old are welcomed, whether you want to learn the game, start a challenge run, or help Theory craft a solo WoW challenge. All and everyone are welcome. In the meantime, I've taken down Hurley, Plugger, and Phalanx before heading off to Ambassador Flamelash. The Ambassador spawns little spirits around the room, which walk to him, and once they reach him, Flamelash absorbs them to increase his own power. With the ads having 2k HP, there are a bit too many and they are a bit too bulky to take them down before they reach him. But you know what they say, when in doubt, bring out the cheese. And so we bring it on. Clearing all trash in the nearby rooms so we can kite him from his platform all the way back to the Grim Guzzler. If we kite long enough, we can get our tree ends back up shortly after engaging him again, giving us the opportunity to run to the opposite side of the cave again. And after about half a marathon, we can move on to the last few bosses in here. Starting with the Trial of the Seven Dwarves, and well, without Snow White, they aren't all that magical. And even though Magmas is in a room full of traps, we bravely dodge them all while taking him down, leaving us with one boss left. Well, and that one boss that I forgot earlier, but we'll get back to him. Emperor Dagran Thoresen, the biggest RNG boss we have faced so far. What makes Thoresen RNG? Well, just take a look at this clip.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Thoresen has a stun. It lasts 5 seconds, and there is not much I can do about it. It also has no internal cooldown, no diminishing returns, meaning that consecutive stuns don't stun for a reduced time. And well, if he gets to cheese me, I feel like I should be able to cheese back. I keep cutting him up to the balconies so that I can jump off and heal whenever I need some more breathing room. This will force him to run all the way around, giving me essential time to heal, get mana, or just to get away. On the first pull he chain stuns me into oblivion, but on the second attempt we get luckier and manage to out-cheese him for the one and only Hand of Justice. For every classic player I just pissed off, I'm sorry, but that is part of life and I'm sure you'll get yours soon enough. Before we hit the core, we need to go back to the pub and take care of Ribley, officially clearing the entirety of Blackrock depths, allowing us to cross it off the list. Time to check out the core and our first raid, so please bid a warm welcome to Solodans inside the Molten Core. Well, let's get some trash out of the way, shall we? Going good, going good. Oh. I guess these golems are off the table for now. Let's try one of the core hounds, which surprisingly goes much better, and we actually take down our first creature in a raid instance, filling me with hope and determination. Next up, we try a Lava Surger, and while possible, I end up ninja pulling a bunch more mobs before I can take it down, and I die again. We try Fire Lord next, and they stun me repeatedly, and well, let's say that this does not end well. We slowly inch forward, picking off the Core Hounds and Lava Surgers in our way to the first boss, Luciferin. And while doing so, we achieve our first new item, a BOE belt for rogues. And while I don't think much of it yet, this may open the way to killing more bosses here in the future. But for now, this one gets disenchanted, as we make our way forward to Luciferin. We make it past the impact surprisingly easily, and make our way into the Core Hound infested room. And this is where we get faced with the next challenge. These Core Hound packs have a very annoying mechanic, for me at least. You see, if they don't all die at the same time, they will resurrect each other. This means I need to live all of their attacks until I get all of them low enough to finish them all off at the same time. And let's say that with the damage they're dealing, this is not really an option for me yet. We try pulling the boss solo in between the Core Hounds, but unfortunately we pull a pack of dogs, which becomes our demise shortly after. As we are just scoping out the place for now, let's move on to a boss which is easier to reach, Gehennas. This boss also has 2 adds by his side, and with a whopping 37k HP each. We have beaten bosses with more HP, so if we can live long enough, maybe we can take the adds down and breeze to victory from there. I pull the boss and get stunned for 4 seconds, just enough to watch myself fall to the floor. My hope dwindles for a first boss kill. But I have hopes for one boss, namely Baron Geddon. He has no adds and a mechanic where everyone has to move away. The perfect opportunity to heal up. So we head to Baron Geddon and find the perfect time to snag him up without pulling any additional packs. We pull him completely solo. A first win. Quick, into bear form and... Where did my HP go? With melee attacks of 3k a pop, this will be a hard one to survive right now. A bit defeated, we leave Molten Core behind us for now. But thinking forward, there is still a lot of gear, enchants and other optimizations to be done in the future. And some of the bosses and packs seemed doable to say the least. Maybe a 40-man dungeon is too much? What about we try something designed for less players? An easy entry raid. Somewhere we could score a quick win to grab our motivation back. And so we hit to Karazhan. I pull the first trash pack and I live? Wait, are you telling me these trash mobs do not one-shot me? I even ninja pull a second pack due to being feared and still, we take down the pack. Could it be? Could we have a chance at beating our first raid boss here? We clear out the trash before Atumen and midnight and get ready to pull. Surely we will get trashed on. Anytime now. Not long now. Wait, why am I still alive? This is a miracle. There we go. But look at Midnight's HP, 50%. This seems very doable. I regroup and go again, focusing on my defenses with Iron Bark to live long enough for my heals to come back off cooldown. It is a long fight, but at 20% Atumen mounts Midnight, making the fight a lot easier due to less melee attacks going out. And from this point on, it is a victory lap to the finish. Albeit a long victory lap, a couple of minutes long, but patiently we keep our HP up and keep mangling the boss until eventually the first raid boss kill of the account is achieved. All my doubts from Molten Core gone, defeated. No longer will I fear raids. I will overcome all challenges, and my reward for this will be 6 netherweave cloth. Awesome. But why stop there? If we can down one boss, surely we can do a second? Off I go to Morose, a boss that embraces his guests, making it a hectic ad fight with him and his 4 companions. And after contemplating who eats fish with oranges for a while, we go into our first pull. The damage seems alright, but his cronies have different abilities to look out for. Darius is a warrior who knows Mortal Cleave, reducing my healing taken by 50%. Kruger, a paladin, knows Hand of Justice, a 5-second stun which prevents me from dodging any abilities, thus massively increasing my damage taken. Vonindi is a priest, spamming Holy Fire to leave a nasty dot on us, while also healing and shielding her allies regularly. And lastly Ference, who I actually have no clue what he does. But looking at the damage taken over the next few pulls, if I can down 1 or 2 of his cronies, which by the way only have 17k HP, I should be able to survive the damage for the rest of the fight quite easily. But who to focus? The warrior, which reduces my healing? The healer whose heals and dots delay me from killing some of them? Or the paladin who stuns me now and then, leaving me open to attacks? I decide to focus the healer first, and a couple of pulls later this happens. Okay, let's cool down here because I feel like the stun's coming. Oh, look at it. She's almost dead. Go, go, go. Okay, who's next? Druger, your lowest HP. Stun. Oh, I got the heal off just before that stun. That's sick. Okay, Morose is gone, so I can maybe heal a bit. I think if it's just Morose, I might be able to actually heal. Even if I don't have a proc. Oh, that's Mortal Strike, that's bad. But I got a proc. Keep it up. Baron's down. I need to heal, I need to heal. No! I shouldn't have healed, I think. Getting 2 of his cronies down, we fall, due to us trying to heal outside of bear form. One thing that makes this fight slightly harder after Morose disappeared for the first time is his growth. A 5-minute bleed that stays on us pretty much for the entire fight. But now that I've gotten past the first few mobs, I know I can do it. So time to prog a 20-year-old boss. And I even start committing flasks and potions at this point. I will take Morose down tonight. A few pulls later I make it as far as just Morose left, but a stupid decision to heal outside of bear form screwed me over again. But again, the possibility of soloing this boss is solidified further and further. As I progress, I even start line of sighting the caster just to reduce my damage income. And soon after we have another 1v1 with Morose. And every time he disappears I have plenty of time to heal up outside of bear form. I know it's risky, but if I time it right it is perfectly fine. 15. 10%, 5, and 0. 2 bosses down, I can't believe it. And we are rewarded with the best agility enchant for weapons available to me. Mongoose. I sense more enchant grinding coming up in the future. Now off to the boss we all look forward to, the Opera event. And why not comment down below which event you think I will get this run. We talked to Barnes and listened to the introduction of the play. And today we are starring in Romulo and Julianne, the famous tale by some British writer. We fight Julianne first. She has a weak melee and 2 different casts. Blinding Passion does a lot of damage and leaves a nasty dot. And secondly, Eternal Passion, which heals the boss for a big chunk of her HP. And to be honest, Julianne slaps. Hard. But we are able to take her down. Julianne then drinks a secret potion as Romulo enters the stage. Romulo hits hard with his swift melee attacks and also stacks a nasty stat reducing poison on me. And unfortunately for this attempt I did not spec into my dispel, and I end up going down to my heavily reduced stats. On the next attempt we easily take down Romulo, and with dispels he is a far bit easier than Julianne. But next up we get to face both at the same time, and with Julianne on her own already being a problem, the 2 of them give me a tough time. And eventually I go down to the lovers. I decide to leave them in peace for now. With 2 bosses down, victory is already slightly mine, and I've gotten further than I thought. Looking at Molten Core, it seems feasible to at least get some bosses down, and I have plenty of ideas on how I may be able to gear up to make some of the fights more possible. And Karazhan seems like it may be possible to fully clear. Whether all other raids will be that way, we will find out later, but now back to what I promised. Let's finish these classic dungeons off in style. Before heading off to the next dungeon, we take a quick detour again to Dire Maul, or a tribute run. For those of you that don't know, a tribute run is a run of Dire Maul North where you avoid killing any of the bosses and show rush on King Gordok. This will make you the king of Dire Maul. Now, why do I do this? There is some special loot to be had, but this is not the reason, as it is very low eye level and thus very useless. No, if you become king, you can talk to all of the ogre captains to gain buffs from them that last 2 hours. Oh yes baby, the world buff meta is back in action. Talking to Slickig gives me a 2% crit buff, Fengus gives us 10 attack power. We tried buying some beer that buffs you from Krieg, but unfortunately none of them seem to give any stats, so I take a pass on those. And now for the big one, Guard Moldar. The biggest buff of them all. A whopping 15% stamina, which actually gives 15% stamina. The fate and the tooltips are restored, Blizzard. This is big, giving me a huge amount of extra HP, which in turn makes my Frenzied Rejuvenation heal for more. This is awesome, and it only really takes 15 minutes to get the 2-hour buff. Now for the real question. Will the buffs remain outside of the dungeon? And yes, they do. With the buffs in hand and the clock ticking, we rush out to the following dungeons. So back to the montage. And with that, we have one dungeon left. The Temple of Atal Hakar, better known as the Sunken Temple. Seemingly a ton of bosses, but 4 of them are the exact same ones. But there is a boss here that poses a real challenge. That boss is not the Avatar of Hakar, however, as this bony dragon falls quite quickly. Now it is time to clear the hardest boss in all of the classic dungeons. Jamalan the Prophet. Why is he so hard, you may ask? Let's hand it to LiveDan to explain. Okay, so, why have I been hyping this boss up, or hyping it down? This guy does a mind control, instant cast, nothing you can do about it. It's on somewhat of a timer, but also it overlaps with other spells which push the timer back. And the mind control just ends the fight, basically. There's nothing you can do. You can outrange it, you can line of sight it, but you kind of have to guess when he's going to cast it and make sure you're far enough away or he's out of line of sight. And in general, it's just really annoying, but someone in chat told me I might be immune to the mind control. And the fact that he yelled join us and I'm not mind controlled might actually mean... No, never mind. Liar, alpha, liar. You see, when Jamalan yells join us, he puts a 10-second debuff on you, sometimes. After those 10 seconds, you are mind controlled, and if you're the only player, that resets the fight. Unfortunately, this one is not as easily solved as previous ones by just not having any pets or minions out. No, this one requires a little bit more strategy. Jamalan casts the debuff every 20 seconds or so. So the first thing I do is put a timer on the screen. When you pull him, he casts Flame Strike shortly after which he usually puts out the debuff. I pull him and send full DPS until he Flame Strikes, at which point I make sure to run out of range to dodge the first cast. Then I start full on kiting him, waiting for the next Flame Strike cast, after which I conveniently hide behind a pillar and pray he casts Mind Control. After the next cast, I beeline my way back into the room and hide again after the next Flame Strike cast. Now this is where usually the spell queuing messes up and Flame Strike into Mind Control tech is less reliable. So when I feel like we are around 20 seconds after the first cast, I do my best to line of sight, run away, or just dodge the debuff. And if I do get hit, there is nothing I can do. And I go back into melee as soon as he yells join us. Yell. Come on. Okay, nice. Good thing I have a lot of passive damage. His next cast, I need to sprint away. I need to go. Run, run, run. It's gotta be quite a long run again. Please, 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 please. Yell. No! Oh, it was not me. He didn't target me. I'm good. I think. I'm good. I've got 3 ants for the next one. 3 ants. Go, go, go. I'm still getting away from him. I'm still afraid that he's going to target me with it. Nice, okay. I've got nothing for this next one though. I need to stay close and bolt it in cat form, or I just commit and go for the kill. I think I commit and go for the kill. Nice. That's a lot easier on Druid than it is on Paladin, I will tell you that. And after Jamalan goes down, there is only one thing left to do. Clean up all the dragons around. Finishing off with the biggest of them all, Shade of Iranicus, which in comparison to Jamalan is a walk in the park. And with that, we've done it. Every single classic dungeon has been completed. A fitting time to end the episode. Next time we will look into some more enchanting and classic raids, where we will kill our first classic raid bosses, believe it or not. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, bye bye!